Duel. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's stream, featuring the Internet Help Desk, the
Hey,
world's
good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
yes, Mexico's fifth largest help desk. Today we're going to be talking about this week's actually been quite interesting into a field of Star Wars. You've had a lot of rumors coming out left, right, and central that got blown absolutely out of proportion, and people need to learn to calm the fuck down.
Or
When
never
it co-
listen to anything this woman says ever.
Well, yeah. Uh, but so we'll be moving on from the rumors. So we're going to be talking today about the state of Star Wars. Everyone's once favorite like franchise. I mean, this thing could print money left, right, central. Right? It was a money making machine. Then Lucas sold it over to Disney, who were like, "No, we're going to follow your vision. We're going to follow your dream," and they absolutely fucking lied to him. Like you had Kennedy sitting in front of I nearly say like a border at this stage of nothing but like all the expanded universe books. So far, I know you're a major fan of the EU stuff.
Books, games.
Yeah. And said there's nothing to draw
Same here.
from. Yeah, when she was in the bloody room with them.
Well, you got to also remember, she said there was nothing to draw from after she had canceled the Clone Wars while it was at one of the peaks of its popularity, and declared before she said that all of the expanded universe was now non-canon.
Yeah.
And then she complained, "Oh, there's nothing to draw from, except for those fucking years upon years of material that you just kind of shoved under the rug and tried to pretend that didn't exist because it smelled like George."
Yeah.
Not to mention still being hailed as a hero because they're technically making money, even though they downgraded a multi-billion-dollar franchise down to a multi-million-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, that's all right. Now they've done the same thing to Disney itself.
Well, that is true, honestly. But I'm just saying at this stage, like multi-million, which is putting it lightly. But yeah, help us. Is something you'd like to bring up?
Not really. It's really depressing. You look back at sort of like the 90s. It wasn't just, movies and books. LucasArts was a huge part of it. The X-Wing games, TIE Fighter games, and they're still being played today. X-Wing Alliance, sort of like 16-player multi-space battles. They're actually remaking TIE Fighter using the X-Wing engine. That's the project that's actually going on now.
Yeah. Then there was the West End Games tabletop RPG books.
Yep.
There was the original Battlefront games. Knights
Galactic
of the Old
Battlegrounds,
Republic.
the Command & Conquer spin-off.
Yeah.
Clone. It was huge. LucasArts was absolutely huge, and that was one of the first things that got shut down when it got sold off to Disney, and I will always be salty about that.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you have all these things going. You have like hey, Jet Sparks. Yeah, we had a full panel. 2 people dropped out.
Yeah, we had last minute drops.
Yeah. But you have like here, hold on, I'll drop you the link, Jet. Cowie. Hold on now. Where are you? Jet Spark. There you are. So you have all this stuff going on. You have LucasArts, which was dropped. Then you have the new Star Wars games, like the 2 of them, right? The Jedi Fallen Order, which it's getting this weird logic to it. And for some reason, I played the first one. I did not like it. It was on rails. You had Squadrons, which no one talks about anymore.
I know why that is.
Go ahead.
Well, Squadrons was a decent game if you like playing like the TIE Fighters and X-Wings and whatnot. The problem was that the developer and publishers were full on into the let's say the flavor aid of the woke virus at the time, and they started attacking the players and the fans. People pretty much just kind of bailed on it when he started ranting and raving at everybody, and just kind of went under the radar after that. Nobody talked about it no more because he had to make everything a big freaking deal when it didn't need to be.
No, yeah, I absolutely get you. Like, so let's talk about the TV shows, right? For a second. You had the Clone Wars, which is absolutely fucking massive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but the original Clone Wars was better.
I'm going to still agree to disagree on that one.
But you've had both of them.
I'm just saying the 2D art was better. The combat was way better.
I'm going to hard disagree with the 2D on that one. I did not like Genndy Tartakovsky's art style.
Oh man, but are you a Samurai Jack fan?
Not really that much. No, that's my.
Then there you go.
It just didn't. It did for me. It didn't look right for what it was.
It looked better than the slow ass stuff they use on for their CGI.
The Clone Wars got better though, like a lot better.
It did.
The first season was just
only
rough.
Only for rebels to come along and fuck it all up.
Yeah, well, that was again
nothing.
Disney with their hand in the fruit.
Well, I honestly enjoyed most of Rebels. Most of it.
I don't know how you did it.
Okay. The story can be great, but that combat was slow. Like that combat looked like Vader and Obi-Wan trying to duke it out. Their old asses, the old broken asses on the fucking Death Star.
You mean watching Rosario Dawson try to do the fight scenes in Ahsoka?
That was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But one of the things that like really pissed a lot of people off in Rebels was they had the balls to kill off Ahsoka, right?
Mm.
And then you saw her walking down the stairs, and everyone's like, "How did that happen?" Was like, is that her Force Ghost crossing over? Like they were coming up all this theories, only to have a fucking play time travel at the end. And then
I will tell you flat out, long before that, what irritated me with Rebels, as far as that, because everything about Rebels fucking pissed me off. But in particular, they gave Ahsoka a perfect send-off at the end of the Clone Wars. They didn't need to bring her back.
Oh, yeah. No, they had her brought back as Fulcrum, is what they called her.
I know. Because Filoni had to tie her into the rebellion because he couldn't leave it alone.
Well, because she's Filoni's character.
I know.
Like, that's his Star Wars baby.
Yeah, but
I liked her, but the longer she was around after the Clone Wars, the more tedious it got, because the more it was obviously being dragged out.
Yeah, but what you could have done, honestly, is you could have like had this brand new Jedi Master, right? Say he's from a long-lived race, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we didn't know about him. He showed up, all this stuff," and it's like you have someone turn around and they're like, "Did you know Ahsoka?" He goes, "Yeah, I know her. She's off on such and such a world leading the rebellion. She's somewhere else. She's alive, but she's over there," type of thing.
I think the best way to handle is like when she left the Order and went her own way, to just let her be.
That
was kind of the perfect sunset for her.
Oh, Farv, did you know they made her a lesbian?
I don't care.
In the words of Paul McCartney, let it be.
Yeah. I don't care what they did, because that was all Kennedy's hand and Filoni being a jackass.
Whatever. So now
you mean Filoni being her Sith apprentice?
Yeah, basically.
I think Filoni has a sexual attraction to her, shall we say, and he's just living out his fantasies in a cartoon character.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Now
think about it; it's not that far off. And so the fact she turned lesbian is probably what he wants to see.
For all I can.
The problem is
the guy's a mess.
It
became apparent very quickly where the actual creativity was coming from in the Clone Wars when they let Filoni take the lead.
Yeah. But when you say he had an attraction to Witch Ahsoka, that's the problem.
Yeah, it is also kind of true.
Like, because if you're like adult Ahsoka, which comes to mind because, now I really liked Ahsoka, but when they designed her as an adult, the first thing I'm like, is how the fuck does she get dressed?
What do you mean?
In the show, there's a bit.
Are you talking about the live action adult one, or the adult one they showed in the Clone Wars?
I'm talking about the head.
Okay, Togruta didn't get they put him on from the legs up.
Yeah,
right.
That's
but-
literally that simple.
What I'm saying is, if you actually watch the show, there is an episode where she puts on a spacesuit and gets out and stands on.
Yeah,
I
she hits
remember
some-
that one.
some fighters. How do you get? I mean, there's a helmet that goes on the tentacles.
Yeah.
How do you get that on?
Now that
Well,
one I
you
don't
can't do
have
that
an
from the bottom up.
answer for.
yeah. Hey, Jet Sparks.
I guess you just had to cram them up in the helmet or something. I don't know.
Hello.
You'd need help.
Right.
You really would.
I mean, like, well, she had Sabine. They just, tucking him in. It's like, yeah, we just stick this here and stick
I
this
was going to say, because bear in mind, they still got to get around Rosario Dawson's like assets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
but still, again, the only thing I can really say about everything that has been saying, one, Ahsoka, either she didn't die in Order 66, but she should have at least died by the hands of Vader. It would have been a poignant ending for her.
She
Yeah.
did. That's the problem.
Yeah,
And
but
they
of course, again, the retcon with the world between worlds. and
Yeah.
That's
whatnot.
because every time they closed a chapter with Ahsoka where they could have left her just, mysterious and gone at the end of the Clone Wars, or when she died in Rebels, as dumb as that was, either one of those would have been an ending point, and Filoni couldn't leave it alone.
And that is really just ridiculous. I mean, at least my characters, any characters I create, I know where their ending should be. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it would be nice to continue on, but I like the idea of, like, one superhero character I have, I like the idea of passing the torch to the next generation.
Yeah.
Not like, they pass on the mantle of their hero persona to somebody else. Like they just raise up a new generation, like their
So-
children,
Yeah.
like their children, like his children,
So,
to carry on the battle, to fight.
as a guy
Yeah.
on his second book, what I will say is the problem here with not just with Ahsoka, but with Star Wars in general is, especially when it comes to the show, because Filoni's got his hand in pretty much almost all of these shows now. There is no restraint when it comes
Yes.
to there's too much, circumstance is going to save this fucking character's life. Because we couldn't think of a good way for it to happen, so it's just going to happen because.
Well, can we also talk about the actors for a second?
Which ones?
Yes. Right?
How about they
So-
quit hiring Pedro Pascal for fucking everything?
Okay, that is one of the problems. So in The Mandalorian, up until the Mandalorian has not been Pedro Pascal. It's been two other people. Pedro Pascal is a glorified voice actor.
Yeah, he's the voice actor.
Yep.
And a couple of times when they took the helmet off, which he wasn't supposed to fucking do, but of course the actor insisted because Pretty Boy's got to have his face on the camera so he can masturbate. to
Okay,
himself.
but I cannot really get mad at him for that because I have been justifying Sylvester Stallone in the Judge Dredd movie for the last 30 years, and I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say he deserved to have his helmet taken off a couple times.
I'll be real, I actually did have a problem with that. So I'm not really being a hypocrite on that one.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just saying you don't hire somebody as famous as Sylvester Stallone and not show his face. On the other hand, when
Here's a good
Carl
example.
Yeah,
Here's a good
Carl
example.
Urban kept the damn helmet on.
I was going to bring that up, but there's another example. So as terrible as that second live-action G.I. Joe movie was, we all
I haven't seen
remember
it.
Ray Stevenson, the guy who we unfortunately
Yes.
lost during
Yeah.
Ahsoka. He played one of my favorite villains from the comics and the show, Firefly, in that second movie. He had to argue, and this again speaks to me of his actual integrity. He had to argue with the producers to actually let him wear the mask at all, because Firefly always wore that balaclava mask. And he had to actually argue with them to have the mask on at all. He was going to wear it all the time, but they literally told him not to. He had to fight
kind
to
of like
wear
James
it at all.
Marsden.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of like James Marsden in Dragon Ball Evolution. As
Mhm.
much of a dumpster fire as that movie ended up being, they were going to try to make Piccolo like pale, or like white,
Mhm.
not like flesh color, like white. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, the character's green. And he actually, that was one of the few times he dug his heels in and was like, no, the character's green. So
And
I
the
mean,
other-
a lot of times these actors do save what little redemption there is in these movies.
Here's the other dumb thing too, as far as the main character of the Mandalorian's already terrible anyway, as far as his writing, but when you realize who one of the guys actually in the armor is, Pedro Pascal being there is even dumber.
Who is he?
John Wayne's fucking son.
Oh God, yeah. I saw a load of people saying that he should be the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Having Scott Eastwood
is the way.
Yeah, but like having Scott Eastwood as one of the random soldiers in the Suicide Squad movie, and instead of having him play, Flag, like that was kind of stupid. That was a stupid choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of no to say about nepo babies, but I guess in the case of Scott Eastwood, he's been reduced to just being a glorified extra in a lot of movies.
Hey, yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, weird question. Is your microphone facing a different way? You sound a bit weird.
Sorry. Better.
A little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm just sitting back in my chair.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no. So a lot of it seems the actors that like Star Wars are investing in are not actors; they're activists. The one who was in what was The Acolyte.
Oh
right?
God!
Oh yeah.
Well, let's just start with Leslie Headland.
Okay.
An Uber activist who was the one who got put in charge of the show so she could work out her sister issues.
Yeah. Like, and it was advertised as being the gayest Star Wars ever, as if that's
like that was a selling point for fucking Star Wars. I mean, never mind the fact that by that time we had already seen so much gay shit in Star Wars it wasn't even surprising.
Let's not forget the book of Boba Fett giving us the intergalactic cyborg Power Rangers and the Hutt.
Yeah, oh my God,
that was terrible.
That made me hate Boba Fett and maybe
like I said, we had the fucking Hutt Targaryens like huddled up on a fucking mount together. Like that was freaking disgusting.
The fucking flying Vespa Power Rangers and shit.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yes, it was.
Not only that, and how ridiculous it was, the two best rated episodes of the Book of Boba Fett are Mandalorian episodes, where he's not even in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and then the fact that, like, I love Tamura Morrison. They wasted him so fucking hard in that damn show.
Oh, yeah.
And he's constantly getting upstaged by that sniper for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and the sniper never shoots anybody.
Fennec Shan, again, especially even at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I'm surprised I'm pretty sure that entire scene, say for Cara Dune, because literally Kathleen Kennedy actually is like the only actress he actually fears. But that entire girl power scene where they're all going in and kicking a bunch of ass, that scene probably put a tear in Kathleen Kennedy's eye.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We all know it.
But with the whole thing with the sniper, and I didn't even mind the sniper as a character on her own. It's just they kept using her to upstage Fett, which made no damn sense other than knowing who was in charge of the project.
So, when he was brought in The Mandalorian, Boba Fett actually used a Maori self-defense technique that Tamara Morrison himself, it's a protection. Like, he fights that way. I forget the word.
It's a practitioner.
Thank you. Now, they turn around and he's like, okay, this is how I see him. This is what I want. And they're like, yeah, man, I love this idea. Like, this route that you're bringing us down. It's dark, it's gritty, it's sad. He's like, yeah, like, he lost millions of his brothers. It's like, we can, like, go into, like, psychological stuff. And he said they turned around and they lied to him on it. He said,
that
like,
don't surprise me at all.
Yeah. He said that one stage that he was sitting down on the setup and they're like, oh yeah, so you're going out to make this? And he's like, dude, I can't. It's not Boba Fett. And he turned around.
I remember an interview, where somebody's talking. He's like, this isn't Boba Fett. He's like, and this is not the story that was supposed to be told.
Yeah, Boba Fett's supposed to be a badass. He's supposed to be like a criminal. He's supposed to be a criminal, not some noble guy or whatever.
Well, and even if he was taking over the Hutt Empire, why didn't we get a Sopranos in space style story? You know, the whole reason why we rooted for Tony Soprano was not because he was a good guy; it's because he was less evil than the pieces of shit he was, murking the entire time.
I entirely get what you're saying, but here's my entire problem with the whole concept of that fucking show. As somebody who read the comics and shit of Boba Fett,
where he was just a bounty hunter.
He is a bounty hunter with a very particular honor code that is unique to himself. So, as a guy who grew up with Goodfellas and The Godfather and shit, he's not a fit for that kind of fucking story. Period.
Well, and that's, I agree with you. I'm just saying, but if they just insisted on that being the way they went, why weren't they at least smart about that? Is all I'm saying.
Because Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni were in charge of it.
That's fair. That was rhetorical.
So, one of the weird issues that's going on is everyone that they bring in does not make sense to it, like what they're doing. Like in The Mandalorian, they had the item that is essential to the Mandalorian, right? To their culture, to their race, to their people. They destroyed it in a second, the Darksaber.
God, that was so fucking stupid. Never mind that Rebels had already fucked up the Darksaber by then, but they fucked it up even harder.
But and they never answered how he fucking got the Darksaber. We still don't know.
Yeah, we don't know how
Bo-Katan had it.
Bo-Katan shouldn't have had it.
Well, actually, Bo-Katan should have had it, but then they fucked around and gave it to Sabine in Rebels.
Yeah, but I'm talking about physically. Like, not like I agree.
No,
with
what I mean is Bo-Katan should actually have had it from the Clone Wars when her freaking mentor died.
Yeah. But like Sabine's mother had it, and then it's like, okay, then after that, who fucking had it?
Yeah, there's so many plot holes in Rebels as you go. It's astounding. And that the problem is they take everything and they base everything from Rebels. Yeah. Everything gets based from Rebels forward because it's the Kennedy verse or whatever the fuck in her head.
So the canon verse
figures. The canon only goes that direction. And they even can't even keep that fucking straight.
But let's be perfectly honest. It's, because it has become the Filoni Kennedy verse, the Darksaber has been reduced to the proverbial bad penny that just keeps turning up.
Apparently, yeah.
So we have to talk about the elephant or Wampa in the room, the movies.
Oh God,
the Bantha. Those are big enough.
That would definitely be
in the room.
Well,
if you have a Ranger in the room, that's a whole different problem.
The giant, shriveled, Palpatine-shaped Bantha in the room.
Not for what they fucking brought in.
We have a Talonda Till in the room.
No.
Never mind. Never mind.
Or a Viper Wolf in the room.
Yeah. So
or a Mynock in the room.
The Star Wars Episode 7 had potential, right? No. As a stepping ground. I'm just saying.
Right up until they killed Han Solo.
I'm gonna one up on that. It had potential until they put J.J. Abrams on it, because J.J. Abrams is the king of just taking a thing and retelling it and revising it, and that's all they ever hired him to do.
I had another YouTuber from another channel. He referred to him, and I absolutely love this. And on the off chance that he's listening, I give him full credit. But the point is that he referred to J.J. Abrams as the Grand Poobah of Passable, and I will never forget that.
It's not inaccurate.
Yeah.
But most of the movies, they had the whole thing of kill the past, let the past die.
And then you had wannabe auteur, fucking soccer ball head fucking Ryan Johnson decide he wanted to make it a nihilist fuck fantasy.
Yeah, and they came out, Kennedy, Filoni, everyone was there, and they're like, look, we had the whole Palpatine's return planned out, and we were there, and we were like, we got so bored watching it that somebody turned around and went nipple. We stopped the movie for about half an hour and went frame by frame.
Wow. I mean, because Abrams was damaging enough, but it really was Kennedy and the sentient fucking bearded golf ball that really fucked it up even harder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think,
and again, so much so that honestly, if I ever got to meet Rian Johnson in person,
hey, don't talk about BB-8 like that. He didn't have a beard.
No, I'm talking about Rian Johnson. If I ever got to meet that guy for real.
All right, what's up, Desk?
Right.
Yeah.
What worked with the first set of movies was they were designed as a trilogy. So 4, 5, and 6 was written as one script and split up, and 1, 2, and 3 was written alongside it, and then just broken up.
With this.
7, 8, and 9 were 3 separate entities, and because the entire crew, the director, the producers changed between each one was made to a completely different vision.
Well, if I recall,
so it's like at the end of 8, there was no rebels, there was no help coming, there was nothing, and then suddenly thousands of them turn up in 9,
there's rebels again.
Yeah,
there's a fleet bigger than any in galactic history apparently now.
Yeah, and they all appeared because Lando was there.
And the issue I also see, and I'm pretty sure this is where you were going with this, is at one point, I believe it was J.J. Abrams who admitted that there was never any overarching plan.
No,
there was never any direction for these movies.
And Chewbacca should have bitten the head off that cooked pork right there in front of the rest of them.
Adam Driver, I believe it was Adam Driver, don't hold me to that, but one of the male actors, let's say Adam Driver for talk's sake, came out and said they were receiving scripts like the day of shooting, and they're like, we don't have a script. It's like, yeah, you have the script for last week. It's like, yeah, we've got like 7 scenes to shoot. It's like,
well,
lovely.
We know for a fact with episode 9, they were getting reshoots.
That's what I'm talking about.
Doing reshoots up until the last month. Of shooting.
Well, and that was the thing, like Dominic Monaghan was talking about how many times he got a script and he had 4 speaking lines in the entire fucking movie.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And then when Leia passed away.
Carrie Fisher, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that when Hans passed away, the fact that Leia went and hugged Rey instead of Chewbacca.
Yeah. Oh my God. Once again, everyone all bow before the great God Empress Rey.
Well, here's the thing, and this is a symptom I've noticed, and my brother pointed this out. Ever since Kennedy got in charge, do you notice every character is the super empowered brunette with a slight British accent? It's always either Daisy Ridley or Phoebe Waller-Bridge or someone similar to one of those little archetypes. That's always the little character. Everybody always loves them no matter what they do, and they're always smarter than everybody.
And again, this is just Kathleen Kennedy saying, hey, everybody, look at me, look how cool I actually am. They're all stuff.
It's what it feels like. Actually, it does feel like projection.
So, talking about projection, can we talk about the rumors for a minute?
Which ones? You mean her?
Yes. Her.
The ones that nobody who's been around for more than a couple of years around this trash fire should have believed for a minute.
No, too many people believed it.
Yeah, I know. I figured it was too good to be true, but it didn't even help. The damage was already done. I mean, if people said if it was true or not, I mean, I honestly thought it was too good to be true, but the damage was already done, and I just didn't care anymore.
Well, I'm gonna put it this way.
Keep steering the ship. The ship was basically already hit the iceberg, and it's sinking, and she's still trying to steer it, and she knows it's sinking, but she doesn't even know. She doesn't even realize it.
At this point, they've dredged it up and sunk it again. But the issue is, it would not have made any difference if she did retire tomorrow, because the damage is done, and who the hell are they possibly going to put in that can fix this shit after this much damage and this much disinterest? Because the problem is most people don't give a shit no more.
Yeah, so a lot of people were saying that Dave Filoni is trying to create his own, take all the stuff that people like, all the characters that people like, right, and send them to the new galaxy to get them away from. I know, but I'm just saying what was being said at the time. To get them away from the Kennedy stuff. So it's like, hey, the Kennedy fans and Disney fans have their crap over here, right?
It's like Noah's Ark in space.
And I will tell you immediately why that is bullshit.
Go ahead.
And would have been bullshit from the beginning. Because Kennedy is the one that elevated Filoni. She's the one he toadied up to so he could get his big leadership position. And I guarantee you, she has full control, no matter what he says, of anything and everything. He would not be allowed to do that because her ego would not fucking permit it.
So,
well, and let's not forget that Lucas hired Kennedy. She was in charge before the Disney buyout. Mm-hmm. She was the one who orchestrated and facilitated the Disney buyout. The fact
because
of the matter
unfortunately,
is,
at that point, George thought she was still looking out for the best interest of the franchise.
But that's where I'm getting. That's the problem. If Kathleen Kennedy, who was, whether anyone wants to admit it now or not, a legendary producer. Now let's think of what a producer does. They make sure the creatives, an actual producer, not an executive producer, the actual producers make sure that the creatives have what they need to make sure they got their props, make sure they have their supplies, make sure they have everything they need. They make sure that the zoning locations are and the sets are ready. And she was really fucking good at that. Like it or not, her name is attached to almost every fucking major hit from the 80s and 90s that we grew up loving. The problem is
because the only thing she's good at is logistics.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, if she had stayed in her proverbial lane, if she had stayed on the production side, we would all be talking about her reverently with the legend that she could have been. But she decided to encroach on the creative side, and she ruined her legacy. And now we only have nasty, hateful, terrible things to say about her.
Well, and the worst part is, it's obvious by the way she talks about herself, she doesn't feel that she's ruined her legacy. She's so embedded in this weird make Star Wars a girl brand feminist thing. In her eyes, she's
the Force is female.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Force is female.
Yeah.
So it all started openly in Rebels when they turn around and they're like, yes, but the light, and the Bogan turned around and the Bindu, right, would turn around and said, the light, the dark, you are mistaken, Jedi. You're too clouded. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm blind. He said, do not see with your eyes. Like, you have the Ashla and the Bogan. You call it light and dark, you are limiting it. It is more than light and more than dark. And it's like, no, it's not.
There's a lot of...
Go ahead.
Right, one could argue... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. In all the later stuff, like the movies and so on, they try to say stuff that sounds philosophical and interesting.
Oh my god!
And it's just
nonsense.
It's absolute rubbish.
Especially when, frankly, the dark side of the Force should not exist at all. The dark side of the Force is just simply the misuse of the Force. That's all it ever has been.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of balance that for all of the good you do, the easy path is the bad one.
The whole underlying issue that too is that they've decided to turn the Force into a catch-all Deus Ex Machina. Everything exists because the Force wills it. This works because the Force wills it. This is magic because the fucking Force willed it into existence. Like Yoda summoning a fucking lightning bolt somehow to fucking burn a bunch of books.
But you remember, though, now it wasn't the Clone Wars, but you remember, like, Plo Koon would say, if it's the will of the Force, right? Which is, like, it's essentially taken from, like, Catholicism and Christianity. It's like, if God wills it, right?
Yeah, it was a phrase meant to embody their belief in the Force being part of everything that kind of guided it forward.
Yeah, but at the same time, if shit needs to go down, I'm going to throw fists. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of thing that also is why you think why certain Jedi have blue lights.
And it's like, apart from the weird sister pining nonsense that freaking Leslie Headland was doing with the Acolyte, a perfect example of complete misinterpretation and lack of comprehension of the Force in the franchise as it existed before Kennedy. It's just how they use the Force as an excuse for everything. The Force is this, and then it's that. It's the reason for this, but it's not really that. The Force is a force. The Force is a thread. It's always being manipulated.
To use an actual Disney line, because even that proverbial broken clock can be right twice a day. That's not how the Force works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that became a meme for a fucking reason because it was constantly having to be reminded to people.
Dude, I saw one of the like the guys from Star Wars getting like really fucking confused. The guy who voiced Darth Maul in like Clone Wars, right? He turned around and he looked and he said something very logical. Why the fuck is Darth Plagueis in a cave?
Because that's a good damn question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why the fuck is he in? He's the leader of the banking clan.
Darth Plagueis,
he's a part of something called the Math Cult, and they're kind of like closely associated with the banking clan.
And I guarantee you that happened because whatever fucking lackwit they had in the writers' room at the time just remembered that Darth Plagueis was a scary, evil man, so obviously he had to look like a monster lurking in the fucking dark.
Oh, and now Anakin is no longer special because the lesbian force.
Yeah, the stupid.
It's because the lesbian force switches can now make babies on the fly,
and it's all because of that stupid Force Virgins bullshit they introduced in the movies. Because that was their in-run.
That sounds like a statement of people.
Even and that's the thing. That's the biggest problem. I had no problem with prequels when George Lucas did it, but then everybody decided it was okay. I had no problem with a part 1, part 2 of a movie when Harry Potter did it, but then everybody thought it was okay. I had no problem with that weird, stupid, easily dismissed CalArts style of art when Adventure Time did it, but then suddenly everybody was doing it. That's the problem. It's not the action itself; it's what it allows for the rest of the fucking industries.
Yeah, because Hollywood, everyone thinks.
Hold on.
Hollywood is inherently and I'm sure everybody here can agree, it is inherently at this point filled with manipulative, politically motivated sociopaths who are only really looking to use a medium to either promote themselves, manipulate opinions, or just destroy something purely for the sake of destroying it. The creativity in Hollywood is pretty much dead. It's flatline.
Yes.
Everybody's
they're being trend chasers, essentially.
Yeah. So they created. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it started to go wrong, and it's really simple to track. When lightsabers stopped being deadly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I now see people getting stabbed, and then they're just in bed and they get better.
I'm like, even in the
other one was
Order
66 killed. Order 66 killed all of the Jedi, except
for
it didn't,
like
and
10
now
others that we just dug up from somewhere.
Yep, and then a few you find on another planet, and the few that just hid and then pretended they weren't Jedi.
One of the guys turned around and he said, if there was 10,000 active Jedi, right, and during the time of the Republic, let's say at the low point there was 10,000. He said, if 100 Jedi survived, right? That's 100, and I'm like, 100 Jedi fucking survived. Now, if the only thing that would make sense to me is if, let's say for talk's sake, that there was this knight who's like, or a master, something like that. You're like, you survived Order 66. He said, I was not part of the Jedi. So what do you mean? He goes, I left 100 years beforehand. I don't know any of the Jedi. You know Anakin Skywalker? I don't know that.
A big problem with this too is the timeline issue. Because they never can get time frames right. It's like one of their biggest downfalls. Now, for example, before they killed it, the oh god, I forget what they were called now. They were the games that had Star Killer in them. Vader's apprentice assassin that he trained.
The Force Unleashed.
Who, by the way, that actor is cool as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the one he was talking about before that played the voice of Vader in the animated. I've met him in person, Sam Witwer. I've met both Vaders in person, Sam Witwer and old boy from
James Earl Jones.
No. The guy that actually played him in Phantom Menace, the Scottish dude. Ray Park.
That was Darth Maul.
Or Darth Maul. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. Sam Witwer played, but anyway, I met both Darth Mauls. Both of them know way more than people fucking give them credit for. And
Sam got dismantled because he was doing a stream. He was playing a Star Wars game on stream, and he was talking about how screwed up the Disney canon was and how screwed were, and people came after him.
So I'll tell you something now.
I was going to get to that point. The whole point of that was in that timeline, they had like 2 Jedi that survived the initial Order 66, which of course makes sense because the whole driving force of Vader scouring the galaxy was to try to find any Jedi they had missed.
Yes, the Purge.
It was like, because in that one, Jedi Master Shaak Ti had survived, but Starkiller killed her.
Yeah.
After a certain point, there should not have been any Jedi unaccounted for.
Well, which is only ridiculous because in a deleted scene of episode 3, she died a different way.
Yeah.
In the books, she died yet a different way.
But
Shaak Ti has died more.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, after a certain point, there shouldn't be any more unaccounted Jedi.
Yes, but at the same time, let's take into consideration, you were talking about 10,000 Jedi at a low point. If there are 10,000 of one particular thing just here on planet Earth in real life, it's considered endangered. It's considered on the verge of extinction. So you're talking about 10,000 spread out over the course of hundreds of thousands of worlds in a single galaxy. They would be extinct. They would have no way to contact each other. They'd have no knowledge of each other. They are in effect extinct, even if you do have little spurts of them popping up here and again across the galaxy.
Beyond the statistics of the thing, I think you can agree that the problem here is it's just being used as a crutch.
Yeah. Now, Farv, I'm going to bring you back to a conversation we had years ago.
All right.
Right? Do you remember we were watching the Clone Wars and we were bored and we said, how would each of us, like, given what we'd do in Star Wars, how would we survive Order 66? And I said, and I think this is what should happen with Jedi, right? Let's say for talk's sake that I'm the same height as the clone trooper, right? I'm going to snap under their necks and put on the armor. I'm going to hide my lightsaber somewhere, right? And be like, and walk through, and they're going to say sorry, and I'm just going to like salute, do whatever I need to do, like just like walk like a trooper, like act like a trooper without speaking.
Yeah. And to be fair, one of the initially clever things with the whole Jedi
learn to close your eyes when you aim.
Yeah.
One of the initially clever things about the Jedi Outcast thing was that's kind of what he did. He abandoned his shit and he just went into hiding and got a job doing really shitty work.
Yeah, like that's what. But what I was saying is like everyone else is in the core worlds or on the other. No, man, I'm going into the unknown regions. I'm gone. Like
exactly. Why would you want to stay in any of like the more settled regions? I mean, I know the outer rim is more sparsely populated and the mid rim is more moderately populated, but the core worlds are the most heavily populated worlds in the galaxy. Like, unknown regions are unknown regions, wild space, and the outer rim are more. There's more places where you can hide. And again, the Empire has very little control over those.
And even in the outer rim, you'd want to be careful as a Jedi of all things, because all you have to do is piss off the wrong motherfucker, and they just call the Empire for a bounty.
But the thing is, I wouldn't say I was a Jedi. Like, what I would do is I'd keep my powers to myself, right? Like, I'd go somewhere. But if I found an order that was force trained, or what I would do a long game. I would play the long game, right? I would breed myself a Jedi Order.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why that wasn't a thing. I mean, seriously, you're gonna keep a bloodline, even though like Gianni Mundi's species, he was allowed to do it because males of his species were more rare than anything. Korean males were more rare.
Arguably, you could hide just as well in the woodworks of a core world planet like Coruscant. You'd fade so quickly, and there's so much, you could call it forced white noise, basically, because of how many just sheer number of people are there. So I would be afraid. I'd be afraid on the Outer Rim world, you'd be easily spotted. They would be able to feel you.
Like the whole thing with Cal, he was just another washout on a big ass fucking scrap world, just doing dirty work.
But the problem you'd face is, and like which they've come across is, like, let's say for talk's sake that we're bounty hunters, like me and Fire, we're we're now bounty hunters. For all I know, like Farf could like have been a separatist growing up, right? Or the son of a separatist, hates the Jedi, and he's there like he gets in for trouble. I put my hand out, and he's there, and he's like, "You got the Force," and it's like more than that. Pull a lightsaber. It's like, I am a Jedi. I survived Order 66. For all I know, he's gonna pull the gun up and try and put it between my eyes. Like you don't know. Like
it would be that kind of environment. It would just be terrible idea to expose yourself.
But that is precisely the environment that George Lucas was putting forward. Precisely the environment that the Empire was trying to create. They wanted to turn the Jedi and anybody that was close to the Jedi. You didn't even have to be a Jedi. You could be an adept if you were anything remotely close to the Jedi and you followed the religion of the Force. You were a pariah.
If you remember the New Hope, that's why you remember the Grand Moffs were talking about eventually dissolving the Senate completely. Because they didn't need them anymore and they were too risky to keep them around.
So there was an idea put forward that I really like, right? Where they never instituted it, but they called it Force Cloak. Like, say for talk's sake, I'm a Jedi. And I'm in front of you, and it's like you're my friends. We all work together, and it's like, hey, Order 66 is gone. The Jedi have to go, and you're like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, goodbye. I'm like, forget me, and you're like, what? I'll disappear to you guys, right? Like the Force will cloak me, and you're like, where the fuck is he? And I'm just like, I just walk off. But they never instituted that. But the problem is, as well, back to the whole like point of the stream, is that when you have like they turned around and they said with the Acolytes, don't watch Star Wars, and none of the Acolytes knew what Star Wars was.
Oh yeah, well they literally encouraged all the actors not to read or watch any kind of Star Wars prior to this.
They openly would not hire Star Wars fans.
Well, and that's just, it's so telling of the motivation behind all of these newer shows.
Yeah, but Disney did that across the board, though. They didn't want to hire comic fans for the Marvel stuff. They didn't want to hire Star Wars fans for the Star Wars stuff. They literally rooted people out that had ever worked with John Lasseter and wouldn't let them come back to Pixar.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man now. Tom Holland is still not allowed. It's still not like encouraged to read Spider-Man.
Wow. No wonder. And it's the exact same thing with people who are working at now Halo Studios. These are the people they hired at Microsoft are people who do not freaking despise Halo. These are people who love Call of Duty more than anything, and now they wanted to make Halo more like Call of Duty, and hell, at some point they're gonna probably make it more like.
Well, that's because Microsoft has their own Kathleen Kennedy. It just happens to be a different gender.
Absolutely.
We've seen what happens when you do have people.
Are you sure?
No offense, but I think Phil's out. But also, again, there's a guy at Microsoft literally named Matt Booty.
but help that you were saying.
Sorry, yeah. We've seen what happens when you have fans actually take part in stuff. I mean, most famous one I think was The Witcher. You got Henry Cavill. He was a huge fan, and then when it came to actually doing it, that's why he left eventually, because they wouldn't follow the source material.
And the thing is, you don't even have to look that far. There's a series. Now, granted, it takes a long time because they've run into a lot of complications and financial issues, but there's a series on YouTube called Bucketheads, which is fucking amazing Star Wars. It's all live action with some CG for ships and shit, but it's really good.
But if you want to talk about treating the legacy correctly while also moving the story forward, we cannot forget about Cobra Kai. Everything they did, they stretched what could have been done in a single movie trilogy into 6 full seasons, and they did so without pissing off the fans and keeping it true to everything. They brought back old characters. They made us care about new characters. It is a glorious franchise, And the fact that they've actually got us excited for possible spinoffs. And if somebody said the word spinoff to us a couple of years ago, we had a spit. So I mean, the fact is they left us wanting more even after, since 2017 when they put all this together. So I mean, if you treat your legacy correctly and move yet make people care about moving your franchise forward, the fans will build it and they will come.
Yeah, there's a new one after starting up called School Spirits, right? Where it's a bit of a weird, goofy premise. This girl dies and she's a ghost. But they said that the writers sat there for months, right? Figuring out how do we build upon our premise without breaking what we know, but building upon it. And they're like, how do we get new information to the characters? And it's like, yeah, but if we get these ghosts, but this person can't know this person can't know that. And we have to keep everything as it is. And season 2 came out, and it's even better than season 1.
So because this doesn't just apply to films and TV. I'll bring this up because this is a discussion I had with somebody on Twitter about 3 days ago. It's when you are actually being respectful to the source material. You don't necessarily need a blockbuster budget and a big studio. 2 perfect examples I was discussing with somebody was the Terminator Resistance game and that RoboCop game that came out recently. Both of them are picking up after the decent points of their actual original storylines, which would be Terminator 1 and 2 in the case of Terminator, and the second RoboCop in terms of RoboCop. They both take place after that. They're telling their own story that's still relevant to that. The world seems like the way it should be. And even though they're not blockbuster, big budget, like the best looking games, everything feels like how it should. They're good to play. Nothing's broken. They don't fuck the canon up. And those, even though they were lower budget games, were pretty fucking popular because the fans actually wanted to play them. They didn't do Call of Duty numbers because that's online bullshit. And those always, they always milk the numbers with the online shit. These were single-player games that did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Absolutely. Like, I mean,
it's kind of like this the indie Hellboy movie that's getting better numbers from the fans than the David Harbour film. You can throw all the money you want at something, but it doesn't replace heart and actual knowledge of the source material.
Yeah.
If something is compelling, if it has a good storyline, or in the case of games, it has a really, a good gameplay that kind of connects with you, it doesn't matter about the cost. You look at, Call of Duty cost several $100 million.
Yeah.
Balatro, I think Dev was saying it was a couple of 100,000 at most. More people are playing Balatro than are playing Call of Duty.
Yeah. Like, they just released a new game now that's essentially a shitter version of Skyrim, and it's got like no players on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and meanwhile, like I showed him today. Oh God. Oh.
Yeah, that's the one.
That one.
Yeah.
Like I was showing him today, speaking of the Bethesda thing, there's a game I showed him today called Atomfall, which is Rebellion. The Sniper Elite guys are getting ready to do an open world game in a post-apocalyptic world to pick up where Bethesda's been choking. It just takes a little ambition and some actual shits to give, some dedication to the actual idea.
Yeah. And that's also the reason why these activists type say, "Oh yeah, if you don't like our game, well, you're just every istinophobe in the book," and everyone has frankly had enough of that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Not saying anything in particular, but does anyone remember Concord?
Oh God, man, yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh.
2 weeks it lasted. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then not only did the studio die, but all those people are gone.
Yeah, but you also have the cast and characters, not characters, but you have the cast and crew of like Acolyte, of like every Star Wars show coming out. Like, you're white man. This show.
Well, when they had Ewan McGregor come out and tell people they were no Star Wars fans of his if they thought this, that, or the other fucking thing. It's like,
and then when I give you this,
it's like, not only are you being grossly unprofessional, but that is just an idiotic thing to do in your position. And we all know that Disney and Kennedy pushed that shit because every actor they had in a leading role in Star Wars did the same song and dance with different words. Call the fans toxic, call the fans this, call the fans that. Anybody who disagreed with the message or the terrible writing or the over freaking sampling of quote unquote representation, they all got called the same exact stuff by the lead actors.
Can we talk about Pedro Pascal for the end of this and how that man is a fucking predator and a freak?
Please,
so
he is freaking weird.
Predator Pascal, Pedro Pascal, did worse than Kennedy because Kennedy was like conservatives are being treated like the Jews during the Holocaust, right? Pascal turned around.
That wasn't Kennedy.
No. Sorry. Carano posted.
Gina Carano. Okay, so here, let me help you with that. Basically, what she said is at the time, because everybody can agree here that the leftist media was going insane at that point. And they had Twitter, they had everything. And what Gina said is that the way conservatives were being treated, where they were being outed to their coworkers and doxxed and suggested that they need to be fired from their jobs for their political beliefs, was no better or different than when German neighbors were turning in their friends and neighbors for happening to be Jewish born. That was all that she said, and she was telling the truth. And Pedro Pascal and that other jackass who works on the Star Wars comics ran off behind her back and squealed to Kennedy and her friends to get her fucking completely ousted. And then after that, Pascal comes up on Twitter with this bullshit where he's comparing anybody who wasn't a Democrat to Nazis and KKK members and never got even so much as a smudge on his name over it.
Yeah, and everyone is like, they're all these like Democrat women are simping over him and all this shit. You fucking turn around and you're watching The Last of Us, right? The actress who was playing The Last of Us was like, girl as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Went on to The Last of Us for him. We don't know how long exactly they were working together beforehand.
I do remember the allegations of him trying to, quote unquote, convince her that she was trans.
No, they're not allegation anymore. She turned around and she came out as non-binary.
I'm talking about the allegations of him being the influencing factor. They don't seem to want to try to prove that.
She stated it.
Oh, she did. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, she stated that he would talk to her for hours upon hours about her gender, and now she's non-binary.
Yeah, and of course, because Pascal's he's an obsessive leftist fucking narcissistic creepball.
And everyone's like, "Oh, poor baby. He has anxiety. Look at the cast having to hold his hand." I'm like, he's a grown-ass man. If I was standing there feeling a bit nervous and someone held my hand like that, I'd be like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Exactly. If I'm nervous, I keep my hands on myself.
And if it hadn't been for the people in charge of that production, people should have been separating them and keeping him the fuck away from her.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, if I say I have anxiety, can I just get a fit, hot blonde with big boobs to hold my hand all the time?
Oh, I see that you were watching that, were you?
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was so fucking...
that was creep. He looked like such a creep.
What happened?
Okay, so he was... Yeah. They were up on stage doing this thing, and there's this attractive blonde in like a leather skirt. I forget what kind of top she was wearing. And
it was a Fantastic Four.
And he keeps holding onto her arm and like trying to snuggle with her and shit.
She's literally the chick about to play in Invisible Woman.
Yeah, Sue Storm. And he keeps doing it on stage the whole time. He's constantly touching on her. And the people are like, "Oh, no, it's okay. It's just because he has really bad anxiety, guys."
What's that shit?
And she looks uncomfortable as all hell. Like, she looks about like when Natalie Portman was holding up the hammer a few years ago. Like, she looks really uncomfortable.
No, I'm going to tell you, talking about Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill did some really fucking professional, right? He turned around and he was talking about hanging out with his co-stars. Like he's during the making of that fucking Eleanor movie that he was part of. And they're like, "Oh, do you know Millie Bobby Brown?" It's like, "No, not that much." It's like, "But you spend like over a year working with her." "Yeah, I don't know her." Right? And they turn around and they're like, Millie Bobby Brown's like, "Oh, at the time she was a teenager." And she tried to go and talk to Henry Cavill, and he's like, "Can you please get my cabin?"
And I would tell you, there's two things about that. One, yes, that is professional, but two, whether I may not like Cavill that much, the man knows how to read a room. He knows how to read an environment. He is situationally aware.
Absolutely.
And he knew damn well if Millie Bobby Brown walked in his trailer once, it would take one person causing allegations and he'd be blacklisted and Me Too.
And it wouldn't even have to be her.
Exactly.
It wouldn't even have to be her. It could have. She could have literally said, "No, nothing ever happened."
Yeah.
It takes absolutely nothing to ruin a man's life right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially in fucking media.
Keanu Reeves does a fantastic thing, right? He doesn't touch anyone. Like when you get a photo, his hands go into a fist if he's with you, and they'll go back a bit. He don't touch anyone. Someone else was talking, and they said, "You've never had a closed door meeting." He said, "No," and he said, "Why?" Because I know too many people who have had closed door meeting, and it's you. Hey, Torshi.
Torshi, that joke is stupid. Stop it.
But no, he like, and they turn around and all this stuff, and fucking hell, you have like the MCU go to the MCU for a minute, right? Who are under Disney as well.
We have to. I don't want to go there.
You're going there in a cart. I'm bringing you, dragging you. I'll give you a sandwich when we get there.
In the words of AC/DC, on a highway to hell. Anyway.
You might as well be at this point.
Thor will not go back, and they turn around and they're like, he said that Thor 4.
So Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yeah,
I think he flat out told him, yeah, he's not going back because they won't do it right.
Yeah.
Not unless it's an amazing story. And he said he will not in future projects will not work with Taika Waititi anymore.
And the worst thing he's done recently is that weird ass Super Bowl ad where we had superimposed steel on a CGI steel, which was like, what the hell is this guy even on when he does this stuff or thinks this stuff up? What is he even off? What the hell is he on?
Taika Waititi?
I call him Taco Waititi.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Hold on. Whenever I feel the urge to buy Star Wars merchandise, while not supporting Kathleen Kennedy's bullshit, I buy a premium bootleg only from Temu.
Dude, I don't buy anything from there.
I go to B&M and Home Bargains. They are two of the cheapo budget stores that we have here. It's great.
Yeah, you can go to Ollie's and find you can go to Ollie's out of all the like walls worth of bullshit that Ollie's might have funneled in. You will inevitably, if you're willing to dig, you got a little bit of time, you'll find something that's actually worth having.
Honestly, there is so much stuff at Ollie's now. You don't even really have to dig no more to find.
That depends. In my area, things go quick.
Do you remember what Taika Waititi his threat was for Star Wars? His threat.
I remember his mantra of "I'll ruin your canon in a minute, baby."
Yeah, he made a little song out of it. He said, "I'm going to destroy your canon," and then they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's not happening."
I see the names have started in the chat.
Well, see, and
if I make Kentucky Fried Chicken, I know you like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Why would I make a thing called Albuquerque boiled turkey?
But that's what pisses me off about these guys is that Waititi and Gunn both, and they are joined at the hip, that in each other's movies like crazy, and the problem is that's why I'm so worried about the DC universe right now is they cannot make anything. It's not heavy. It's not even heavy, comedic relief. It's comedy with a little bit of drama in it. They cannot be serious to save their damn lives. It irritates the piss out of me. Everything's a fucking joke, and it irritates me to death.
So on that note, I'm looking at the time and everything, and I better let Help Desk go and fucking recharge. Farv, since you got a book to show, would you like to do your stuff?
Yeah, sure. I got a book. It's the Farvithia Chronicle. It's on Amazon. It's a fantasy novel. It is the first in a series The second one is finished. We're just in the final stuff of getting the page layout done. It's already cleared copyright. I've got the cover art. I've just got to get the last touches done so I can actually get it into publish.
Awesome,
so that will be coming out hopefully in the next couple months. It depends on how long the final page layouts take to do and then to get the cover straight. But hopefully within the next couple months. It just depends.
Yeah. And you want to share any of your upcoming like channel stuff around? Barb?
Sorry, say that again.
You want to push any of your upcoming streams around?
I have one this Saturday. I don't know how many people here are going to be interested in it. Another friend of mine and I, who are both former military, are going to talk about some bullshit that got discovered where the money being allocated to soldiers in the U.S. for food has been getting redistributed by the upper ranking officers to not be for food, and now there are food shortages on the military bases.
Wow.
Yeah, that should never have happened. Under
No,
like I know that goes without saying. That goes without saying, but yeah, no, if we're not taking care of our troops, what the fuck are we doing?
So now it's yet another thing that the new administration is going to have to sort out, because now they've got to backtrace a bunch of money that isn't logged because it was logged as going to food and then it just didn't go there.
Almost like they knew the current administration was going to sort through this stuff.
Oh yeah. Help desk, is there anyone you'd like to show?
Oh, on Monday, I'm going to be on the channel Trev Retro. We're going to be talking about Starship Troopers, the old classic movie there. But before that, going to be setting fire to a couple of ships on Sea of Thieves with good old Renan.
Yeah, we're going to be the remedial pirates.
You probably shouldn't forecast that ahead of time.
It will happen. It always does.
Dude, like we were there and like there was one stage where the ship was on fire and we still don't know how it got on fire.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the second time it sunk.
Yeah, I remember. But Sparks, you wanted to do one?
Well, again, I'm taking a long break from the YouTube scene, mostly just focused on my true passion in life, that is writing. But I would still say to everyone, go subscribe to my friend Bear64 and my friend Killzone772. The latter recently had put out gameplay for the Splitgate 2 open alpha, and the gameplay from what I'm seeing so far, it's so good. I still wish I had a PlayStation 5, but again, I can't afford one. But the game is looking great, and again, the gameplay is so much fun. So go give Killzone a follow. You can follow the link on my channel and go to his channel and subscribe. He definitely deserves everybody's subscription right now. He deserves it. He's got a fairly decent capture card. If you just like watching gameplay, just sit back and enjoy it, because he really loves doing this stuff.
Fantastic. Guys, go check out our fellow Pandas, the Eclectic. Go check out the Oldest Gamer. Mm-hmm. And Bubba, would you like to ring us out with your stuff?
Yeah. You know what? All I can say, I don't have anything personally to shill, but if you get a chance, if you got a little bit of cash, go online, look up some indie comic books over on Indiegogo or any of the other crowdfunded sites. Go over to Fund My Comic, look and see what some of those guys are putting out. If you're into comics, if you're into video games, find you a nice indie game to back. If they've got a physical copy, I always say go physical. If they don't, back them. However, find something that looks good to you.
If you want to say that, I know one right now. It's got 2 weeks left on it. If you like beat 'em up games, Mayhem Brawler 2 is still on Kickstarter right now, and they got physicals.
Nice. There you go. And the thing is that not everything has to be AAA. Not everything has to be through the big two in comics. Not everything has to be from Disney and Warner Brothers. At the movie theater, find you a nice indie film. Read a synopsis. See if it's something that appeals to you. If you're backing it, back it. If it's already out, buy it, give it a shot. The worst you can do is not like it. Yeah, but right now that's the best way we get out from under these big, massive corporations is by actually fueling the things that we love, finding something, giving it a shot, and seeing if it can become something that we love. And
as they say,
that's my message.
Vote with your wallets. But guys, good night. God bless. Stay nerdy and have a great weekend.